And what I want to talk about in this video is Jesus saves. So I want to talk about Christ. The mindset of Christ. The mindset of Christ was, the first thing on the list was love. Okay? Number one, love. Love thy neighbor. Love the law of creation. Love animals. Love mammals. Love the insects. Love life. Learn to be at peace. So love. Next one is peace. Peace. Learn to be at peace. Not always at war with your neighbor. You don't always want to go to war with your neighbor. You don't always want to have to kill women and children in the process of killing your enemy, which is the males, unfortunately, the alphas. And to remember that you're always an alpha. If Christ and God stated that I am the Alpha, the Omega, then that's what you are. He's stating what you are. You're supposed to be a primordial creature that is destined to be an alpha. Okay, you're an alpha. You're not a beta unless you allow these people to step on you. So you're an alpha. Okay? You're also light. The embodiment of light. Okay? So I am the light of the world. The electromagnetic field of energy. He's talking about the electromagnetic field you're on. How to use it. How to play from it. How to play from it the best is light. You can heal people. You can remove demons out of people's vessels. You can help people that are in darkness. It takes a lot of energy though. You get drained, you get tired, you have to leave and go into the wilderness and recharge. They're stealing all your light. They're playing off your electromagnetic field. These are negative characters that are coming in looking to seek something from the positive. If I'm doing miracles and performing miracles, is not my electromagnetic field of energy positive? And are you not coming over here because you're negative? You got something negative wrong in your life. Maybe a dying child. That's pretty negative to me if you showed up to my doorstep. So light. The embodiment of light. Okay? Understanding light. We're also going to talk about the chakra. He died at 33 vertebrae, separated in sections of threes, called the 11. Okay? The 11 was like when Judas hung himself and there was 12 disciples, now there's 11. It's like the 11th hand on the clock until you get to the 12th one and you realize there's 12 disciples, but one hung himself and Christ is at the right hand side of God. So we're going to talk about the 33. Okay? 33 key chakra. You don't want to be in the bosom. Getting boogie. That's like your downstairs neighbor making a bunch of noise. You're kicking the floor. Trying to tell them to be quiet. Because they're in darkness. Getting boogie at 4 in the morning. Okay, so this is the Christ mindset. So far we have love, peace, being alpha, the light, 33 key chakra. Now, Christ was a very intelligent man. Very intelligent. Maybe the most intelligent of his time. Okay? Dealing with this type of parables, you could tell it was a very intelligent, highly trained man that wasn't even human. So that's your next key. He was not human. Okay? Not spiritually human. His spiritual body was not human. But his physical appearance, the appearance of him, because he was a hybrid, half God, half human, he was considered to be what we call I wouldn't want to call him a demigod, but he was a demigod to start. He was lower than the angels, so he was lower than the angels. Probably a demigod. Because if he's lower than the angels in creation, he doesn't become higher than the angels until he dies. So he was a demigod, which was half human, half God. Okay? So that's the one thing. He was not spiritual human. He was not spiritually human, but he was physically human. Okay? There's two different bodies. The two separations of the body. So that's key number 7 is the split between the two, physical and spiritual. Two different bodies. We're going to call it two different bodies instead, to make it simple. I got it easier. He's telling me all this. Slowly but surely we'll get through this. Two bodies within one body. Okay? That's the two became one. The statement there. Okay? This Christ mindset, he would know all of these things. Off the top of the handbook without the handbook. Did he not state this is what you needed to do? The most important things about Christ you needed to understand? What would be the next state of the two bodies within one? The rebirth, reborn. Okay? So it's going to come in as number 8. Number 8, you need to be reborn in the Spirit, baptism. Christ was even baptized. In order to enter the kingdom, you must be reborn in the Spirit. Why? Because the spiritual body was a demon. So you're not rebirthed, you're not being reborn in the physical, you're being reborn in the spiritual body. Which was converted to the fallen section of the electromagnetic field. So you are already pointing negative towards the underworld. This is why everybody was descending into Abraham's bosom, he said. So it was boom shakalaka, baby. Reborn in the Spirit, two bodies. All right, so here we go with Christ's mindset. This is the 33 mindset. The 33-degree mindset. Even though they look at the false light and we look at the real light, I am the light of the world, there's the difference between the 33. They're the 1/3 fallen. We're the 1/3 light. Between light and darkness, there's the 1/3 of that. That would be considered the angels of light and darkness. The ones who've been able to perform it without performing it from the evil section. You ever heard of those angels? Oh man, that's the baddest of the baddest, brother. They can perform light from both sections. From both sections. While participating a little, participation in the sin, but not committing any of the evil. So if I commit by taking a poison, that's a sin, right? It's considered taking an herbal plant that was a poison. You call it a drug, it's the same thing as an herb made into a poison. It was already poisonous from the get-go, but it was amplified. It was a more complicated scientific terminology form of what it became. It originally started as an herb, and it was crushed up and mixed up in a bunch of chemicals and tossed in a bunch of other things, and it turned into what we call a drug. But it still started from the herb. Okay? One thing you need to understand about drugs. Now, think about how meth was created. Meth has still got Sudafed. It still has a chemical that is designed from a plant. Whether you're getting it from the pill or however you're going to get to this plant that you're looking for, this ingredient or this formula, it's a formula, a method of, and that's what we're going to talk about is the formula, proper formula here. Okay, we're going to talk about the proper formula to equations, to math equation. Okay, so he's the king of all kings, so we're just going to put him as the king of math. Okay? In order to have the 33 mindset, you got to be the king of math. And that's definitely not me. But I have some skills. I was injured and I didn't have the right parents to bring me up in an upright family. So I could have been like Einstein genius. But unfortunately, I'm like the lowest bottom tier genius that's ever walked this earth. I just had to perform from the understanding pretty well. I could perform for understanding. So you got to be a king of math in order to be in God's realm. To be God's head. Okay? And that's going to be number 10. God's head. Okay? God's head is king of math. So we're just going to actually add these two together. Instead of using it as number 10. So king of math is God's head. But it's also the spirit. The king of the spirit. Okay? So it can be said in many different forms. You can say king of math, king of science, king of history, and king of the spirit. King of not above God, but of yourself. You're the king of yourself, which is meaning your discipline. You're king of discipline. And it's the king's mindset. To operate from God's head, you must have the king's mindset, which he said, hold on to your crown. So that's number 10. When you enter the world, hold on to your crown, because you're crowning in through the birth canal. Alright? Entering the world with a crown. With a crown on your head. And then what did you state that would occur out of this? Not only are you immortal in the spirit, everybody's immortal unless you condemn yourself to spiritual death. You can do that. You can condemn oneself. One way you can condemn yourself prior to baptism. So don't never get baptized. Here's why you should never get baptized. Because if you're going to blaspheme against the Holy Spirit, you're going to be condemned. Automatically blasphemy. So it's best not to get baptized in blasphemy than it is to blaspheme with the Holy Spirit. That's God, okay? Don't do it. I would never recommend that you do it. That's called blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. And the only way you can do that is if you received the Holy Spirit in order to blaspheme against the Holy Spirit. So that's the understanding to that. If you think I didn't know something about the Bible, you might want to think again. I just don't allow you to see it because you guys have always hated me. This world's always hated me. And rightfully so. When you're in darkness, you shall hate. You shall hate what you... Here's another key, okay? I am the light of the world, which is already up here as light. Okay? What I am. We're going to write that next to it. I am light. Sorry, hold up. I am light. You need to see these affirmations every day. I am Alpha. I am peace. And I am love. You say these affirmations, and you shall see some differences in your life. As well, with the connection to God, not anything other than that. Just a connection with God. We're talking about connecting to God. It's how man thinketh. It's how man thinketh. How you get to God. I am love. I am peace. I am Alpha. I am light. I am the 33 chakra. I am not spiritually human. I am two bodies within one body. I am reborn in spiritual body. I am the king of math. I am God's head. I am entering the world. I am a crowning. I am is a powerful statement of affirmation. That's why he stated, I am. I am who I say I am. And then you want to go to the last one. And I had thought of it. You need to pick up your cross. Okay? Which is basically problems. Pick up your cross, pick up your problems, and carry it. You're going to like this one. So after we get to entering the world with the crowning of the baby shape of the head, we'll go to number 11. Pick up your cross of sins. Okay? Pick up your cross of sins because you're going to pick up some sins in this world. You're going to sin a little bit in this world. You may, depending on if you started in the light, you'll sin less. You'll learn faster. You won't be in the darkness. You won't have to find the understanding over a long period of time of understanding yourself. Okay? The difference between light and darkness is you still have to understand yourself. Okay? Starting in darkness, it's a lot harder to understand yourself because you're blaming yourself for so many problems. Rather than telling yourself powerful affirmations and you're building yourself right off the start. You're actually destroying yourself. The difference between light and darkness. One is about life. The other one is about destruction. Okay? You should know that. I know a lot about spirit. That's the one thing I was looking to save in the end. I didn't have the greatest life, so I didn't expect this life to play out that great for me. But I didn't know I had this job either that I had to do until I got hired. And then I started doing my job. slowly but surely, I started to put the pieces together. So pick up your cross, okay, of sins. You're going to commit some sins here. And this is the crossroads to life. When you get at the intersection, you got a couple choices. Go straight, go into your future, turn around, go back into the past, go left, make a terrible choice, or go right, and it'd be half decent. It would be still a terrible choice, but not as bad. The only one that was, the only one that's important is the one that goes straight ahead towards your future, your destiny. Your destined point of view is on the narrow path, the straightest path. The straightest path is the non-curviest path. The curviest path is the worst path. It's the treacherous path. It's the road to destruction. It's the road to sin. The straight and narrow path. That's why I called it the straight and narrow. Pitch it, bro. We're out the park. We're out the park right now. Sammy Sosa, when he was in his prime. I don't know what happened after that. Don't ask me any questions. I ain't got the answers for it. I am picking up my own cross of sins. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. I am. And last but not least, let me think 1 second. Is understanding where Christ sits. Okay? Being the King of all kings, the Lord of all lords, God said, King of math, he sits at the right-hand side of the Father, so that would put him at a different kingdom. Okay? And that's why he said, my Father has many mansions. I am going to build a place called paradise for us. So Christ would go build something separate from his Father. Because he let Lucifer have this location. This was not Christ's location. He just showed up to say, I am the light of the world. And basically fulfill a bunch of prophecy. But he had to go and do his thing in order to set up the kingdom. So the last piece is number 13, the kingdom of light. He went to set up the kingdom of light for us. From this location, that's where we would go next. For some of us, some people may have to go back to light watcher duty. You're not all subjected to the same location. He just gave you a location that he stated that you still might have to perform another job. You're on an assignment now. That's why they call it a missionary. You're on a mission. You're not here. You're here to live and die, and that's it. And you do your mission while you're here. You got a physical mission and a spiritual mission. The two are separate, but within one body. 2 jobs within one body. A lot of people don't know that, but that's why the difference between me and you. What you think you know, you need to step your understanding up a little bit. You got to picture it from the heaven's view. If you can't see the heaven doing it as common sense, then it probably doesn't exist. He said, and it says in the Bible, what is impossible for man is not impossible for God. So how are you going to blame Christ for telling you the truth? And that's the last piece, number 14. Truth. I am truth. Number 14 is I am truth. You don't want to be a lie. How are you going to connect to the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit if you're lying? At least I'm in my sins and I still tell the truth. You call it whatever you want on your end. At least I'm confessing. At least people can see it openly. And then if they ask me if I'm doing it, I would usually say yes, unless it's a situation where I could get in trouble. Then I would not want to be in trouble locked up. I'm going to definitely try to stay and prevent myself from doing that, because that's a worse situation. You're locked inside of a box, a security box, which gets opened by the security guard. You talking about you want to do that 24/7 all day long? It might drive you a little crazy. You might come out of that joint looking like a monkey, scratching your head and your ass at the same time. So we gave you a few things you can think of on this road to life. And this is the 33 cervical mindset, okay? This is the cervical mindset. This is the narrow path. If you see it, you know it.